What's up, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of The Bader Show. I'm your host, Mark Bader. This is episode 483. And man, pumped about today's show. This guy's, well, I'm sure you all know about him. Just won the U.S. Open. Just won a state title, but he won the U.S. Open in 20s, U20s, and seniors, of course. It's Bassett, 65 kilos. Bo, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing awesome. I'm super excited, blessed. It's going to be a wild summer, but we're excited to compete as much as possible and travel all across the country and world. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Very blessed.
Yeah. First of all, you're insane. Trying to make three teams is nuts, and then going and wanting to wrestle in all three styles. That's awesome. But you just today, I believe it was Junior Hodge Trophy winner. Is this correct?
Yeah, they just announced it this morning. I got Win Magazine tagged you in a post, and I knew that was going to be something big. I'm a huge fan of Win Magazine. I've been getting their magazines. We've been subscribers since I started the sport of wrestling, and so every year I get to read all the articles and just be inspired. And this has been a goal for a long time. I got the Junior Hodge. It's really cool to win it the same year as Mitchell Messenbrink wins the real Hodge, because that's a guy I have a relationship with, and he's a guy I try to wrestle like. So pretty cool to win the same year as him. And yeah, I was super excited to see that this morning.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you guys are both like a couple of wind-up toys. You pull the cord and it just rips and doesn't stop. So that's fun. What, last week I think it was, you doubled up. You win U20s. You win seniors at 65 kilos at the U.S. Open. Kind of an insane thing to do, to even try to do both. I know a couple, Aden Sinclair's gone, maybe a couple others, but I don't know the last time somebody won both. Just like, when did you decide, like, yep, I'm doing both? Because at my first, it was like, man, if he's trying to win seniors, I don't know if this is a good idea, but clearly you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I think the moment that Real Woods won the bronze medal last year at the World Championships, I had figured it was going to happen. 65 kilos is my weight class. I'm not getting any bigger. And so I think 65 is going to be my weight forever. And he bronze medaled. And so that puts him the final X, which means we have no world team trials in Kentucky. And that's coming up this weekend. There's no 65 kilo weight class. It's already set. Real Woods was waiting. So I had known that this was my final year in U20s. I'm the type of guy I want to wrestle. If there was U23 division, I probably would have done all three divisions. I just want to go out and compete as much as I can. I enjoy it. The weight isn't too much of a problem. So that was easy to maintain throughout the 3 days. The thing that I had to make sure I was doing was recovering, and that my body was ready to go each and every time I got on the mat. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but it only ended up being 12 matches over 3 days. I had predicted it would be about 15. And so we trained to be ready for 15 matches over 3 days. And we trained at a really high pace. I expected it to be hard. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. And the minor challenges, it kind of showed up. But I enjoyed every second of it. My parents and my coaches did a great job of having me ready to go. Sleep was a little bit hard over those 3 days, I will say, just because the excitement of wrestling seniors and maybe being in the finals, but just starting U20s the next day, or winning the seniors and winning that open. And that's a huge accomplishment, but realizing that I still have to win 3 more hard matches in U20s the next day. So being able to not get too high or too low after each and every match was important. And just embracing the challenge, embracing the grind of that 3 days. I knew that if I did everything right, I could be happy with whatever the outcome was. And I tried to make sure I made the most of every opportunity. And I don't know how many minutes I spent on the mat, but I've wanted to sprint for every single second of each and every minute that I was on the mat. And it was a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Well, you did, and my gosh, it was impressive. And 12 matches in 3 days is, I mean, I guess if you're expecting 15, maybe whatever. 12 matches in 3 days is insane, however you break it down. So just what a weekend. Now, I do, as I get a little older, I have trouble remembering things as well as I did. But if I remember correctly, now, were you originally going to go to Iowa, and then you end up going to Virginia Tech? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Bader. I was originally committed to Iowa, and some things in life, they don't work out. And man, I'm happy that things didn't work out there, because I couldn't be in a better spot at Virginia Tech. I really couldn't. It's a family there. And I could say a million amazing things about the staff and the roster, the guys that are there, everybody that puts time into Virginia Tech. But we are on the rise. They already were doing incredible things. They are just, the standard is super high, and that's a place you want to be, a place that's full of joy. joy comes from the Lord, and these guys love the sport. So every single day they're in there getting better, working together, and it's a family culture there. And so I'm excited to add in any way that I possibly can. I'm ready to go whatever weight class they want me to, and I'm ready to work absolutely as hard as possible. One thing that I always text with the coaches is I'm all in, and I truly believe that I'm going to give absolutely everything that I have, keep living the right lifestyle, and I'm excited to see where the Hokies go over the next 4 or 5 years. And I'm excited to be in the Southeast RTC after that. And I just know that we have a great set of guys there that's ready to just keep pushing, making each other better. We've gotten some late additions over the past couple of days that have been absolutely enormous for the program and for the direction that we're going. And I just want to throw a shout out to the staff. Everybody there has been absolutely incredible. I'm excited to get to work with those guys, and it already feels like family.
Now, obviously you had this recruiting process that was unique and a lot of recruiting and you dwindled it down over time. If you do remember, like what was your first point of contact like with Virginia Tech? Was it Roby? Was it Frayer? Was it somebody else? And maybe what were they like through the end? Because I think they were down to your final list, right, originally. So I'm just curious, like if you can sort through all the rest, remember what that was like, the process through with Virginia Tech.
Yeah, the whole entire process was a lot of fun. I think there was a lot going on, especially at the beginning. The first time through, it's difficult to keep everything straight. But I do know that from the beginning of the process with Virginia Tech, they stayed the same throughout the entire way from day one until I actually committed to their school. They were great people. They were upfront and honest. And when I went down there for a visit, it felt like home. I was able to actually go on 2 visits to Virginia Tech. And then I actually got to go on one with Melvin, and I'll be able to go on one with Keegan this upcoming year. So I'll do a lot of visits at Virginia Tech with my family, but I'm excited to get there full time. I just remember from the start, they were down to earth people. What really stuck out to me is everybody's a great wrestling coach and everybody's good in the room and they want to sell you on what they can do for you as a wrestler. But these guys were really great people, and I just knew that I'd be able to grow in my faith and also as a person at Virginia Tech. I also realized too that it's one highway straight down I-95, and it's pretty close to home. So my family will be able to get down there for a lot of the home dual matches, and then a couple of the ACC matches are right over here on the East Coast. So it's definitely a place that's close to home. I'm excited for my whole entire family to be there with Melvin committing literally the exact same day was huge. And, we're excited to add and just keep on working hard. And, I told them I'm all in from day one.
Sure. I just have to ask, like, a lot of people are wondering, what was the deal? Why didn't it work out with I? Why was it there and then not there? Or why Virginia?
Yeah, for sure. So, man, it's been a while since I've even thought about that just because I burned the ships and I'm all in. Um, but I just think that at the time, we jumped into things really quickly. And one thing that I wanted to make sure I did the second time through was see everything through and make sure that this is home. This is a place where I can see myself, but also my family um, over the next 5, 10, 15, I don't know how many years,
Yeah.
as many as we can. And I just think that Virginia Tech felt like home, and no place has felt the way that it does there. I've just been able to spend a little bit of time there over the past couple of months, and I can honestly feel myself getting a lot better in that room and really benefiting from the partners, the coaches, and just the lifestyle that I get to live in Blacksburg. And so it's been huge to be able to feel that. And I just believe there's no place that can match what they're doing, the direction that we're going, and the places that we're going to go. I just think that we got a lot of momentum, but that takes a lot of hard work to back it up, and we're excited to be able to do that. And I just think the first time around, jumping into things a little too early, not really feeling that home feeling like I do now. Just excited to get to work with these guys, and I truly know that we're going to work absolutely as hard as possible to make our individual and team dreams come true.
And Virginia Tech's one of these programs that's been like quietly building over the last decade, maybe 20 years. And I think it's, they're quietly on the rise and they've been right there. And I think it's, as you said, this class that's coming in, the lineup you're going to have next year and Melvin and everything else eventually. I think it's a really fun program to keep an eye on here moving out. I want to move back to the U.S. Open. Okay. I wasn't there the whole time, but remind me of so seniors goes first and then it overlaps for what, a day with U20s, or is that right?
It does, yeah. So seniors was, I believe, Friday. Friday started seniors. You wrestle all the way to the finals. So that is arguably the hardest day that I was going to have in Vegas. And Friday kicked off really hot. you have a really tough guy from round one on. If you're in the seniors, you're there and you
Yeah.
mean business. So I had to be ready to roll from the round of 32, I believe I started in, all the way throughout the semifinals that night. I got to wrestle a really crazy, insane match with Aden Valencia in the quarters. That ultimately, being able to come back in the last 27 seconds there and got through that win, kind of dig deep and, just think about all the hard work that I put in. And that moment ended up really, making the weekend what it was. I think digging deep there was a huge turning point and maybe the moment of the weekend for me. So that was big. And then the semifinals against Bartlett, a guy that I've wrestled twice, a guy that I've wrestled since I can remember at NLWC, and, a guy who's always poured into me and has been a great person. And, I just think I got to give him credit because he was always awesome to me. And so that was just day one. And then it overlapped the second day with U20s. I had Joey McKenna in the finals. I had known that all day as I'm wrestling U20s. So all day it was kind of getting ready for Joey McKenna, but also realizing that the U20 guys are extremely capable and they're very good wrestlers. I didn't by any means get an easy draw on U20s. I had really tough guys from round one on. So I had to be ready. I believe I had 4 matches in U20s before we even rested up for the finals of senior level against the returning U.S. Open champ and Joey McKenna. So that was a process in itself. I remember fueling up, getting ready to go. Caleb Henson was also in the finals, and we were ready. The vibes were up. We were excited. We got a great warm up in, and it was time to rock and roll again. I knew I had to make weight though again on Sunday on the backside, so there was a lot to balance, and it was exciting. It was exciting. So once the seniors ended that night, as crazy as it sounds, I had to wrestle my final U20 match after wrestling Joey McKenna. You get your final X pictures, you get all that type of stuff, the interview, you're hugging your parents and your teammates because it's a huge accomplishment, but
Back
you
on
have
the
to
mat.
lock back in to wrestle the round of 16 in U20s against a really good guy, a guy from Nebraska. He's going to be their starter. He's going to do great things. So I had to be ready to roll. And, I remember going to the mat not realizing that I was right on deck and there was going to be a quick tech fall. So I went right out there and had to wrestle and lock it back in. So that was a lot of fun. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I don't know that I'll ever experience a 3-day weigh-in with so many matches again, just because I'll never be U20 again. But if it happens, I have the experience advantage over anybody else who's trying to do that. And I'm glad I did it. It taught me a lot. I think I grew a lot as a wrestler and a person. And, we were able to deal with a lot of ups and downs and be able to keep ourselves, level headed and just on to the next match, focused on one match at a time.
It really is insane. And I wrestled in the Masters 2 weeks ago, and even that with really no stakes on the line, but you're still getting in and wrestling. Like it's, I remember like the anxious all day of 45 minutes. I got to wrestle. 30 minutes. I got okay. Get up and get but I can't imagine having a tournament to go through and then be like, after all this, I got Joy McKenna. And it's all different ages and styles and types of our life, but it's still like you're still wrestling and you still feel those emotions that go along with it. So like, that's insane. But what I want to go back to is your quarterfinal with Aden, because you put with the point of the week that was this match, and so we got it. And Greg, if you want to cue this up, just kind of want to watch this and we can talk through it. I took out some of those pauses for injuries and whatnot, but like you guys had a pass. Tell me what you're thinking coming to this match. If there's a game plan, or if we're just going to let it rip and see what happens.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to let it rip. I always know with Aden, it's a battle. I actually told the guys in my room, I use this match as an example when I try to help the younger guys in our room. I said wrestling senior level and wrestling a guy like Valencia, because they know Aden, they saw him win at nationals. It's like a boxing match. You got to be ready to fight out there. Obviously, you got to be ready to fight from the first whistle, as he came out firing here, caught a double. And so for me, this is all about damage control. Only giving up 2, scooting, knowing that if my head hits out of bounds, they're going to put me back to my feet. This was just a lot of, you got to dig deep. You got to fight here. Ideally, you don't want to go out and get double legged right into a lace, but if adversity strikes, we're ready for that. And so we train for this type of stuff in practice. We talk about, if I'm down 4, what changes? And the answer is nothing. Nothing changes. I have to just keep going and trying to score the next point. I think getting that push out right there was huge. Just showing some life, getting back in that match, getting on the board and establishing, okay, like we got to go score now. So 4-1, I believe, is the score at this point. A nasty double leg to start. So I have an idea of what he's looking for later in the match. And I had to head block quite a few of those, which is something that you got to get your head in there and kind of risk your face. And, you know, you're willing to do anything to win the match. So I knew double legs were coming. So I wanted to make sure I minimized the space that we had between us and get my hand fight going, my stutters, and, try to get back on that 4-1 deficit and get the lead going.
When you
But
say
Aiden's
nothing,
a
go
super
ahead.
awesome. That again?
When you say what changes? Nothing. You mean not like
Yeah.
just wrestle the exact same way? Nothing changes mentally, emotionally. Just go.
Yeah, nothing can change in that moment. You got to keep going and scoring points, and there's a first takedown of the match, and I think you just have to realize that if I'm wrestling the right way from the first whistle, just to score points, have a high pace, not really worried about winning or losing the match, but worried about going out there and scoring as many points as I can, then nothing should change. The way we approach the match, down by 8 or up by 8, shouldn't change. We want to go get the kill if we're up by 8, and we want to go and tie the match and start, being able to win that match if we're down by 8. We know it's a long match, especially in a situation like this. Going down 4-0 in the first 20, 30 seconds, I have 5 minutes and 30 seconds to work. So I knew that the pace would wear on them. And I also knew that I just have to score that much more points now. And, in a way, that's exciting.
Yeah. And
So super high pace match here.
I cut it out, but I think we just missed like a 2-minute injury or blood or something. And this happened a couple times. What does that do for you? Help, hurt, nothing? What?
Yeah, no, I think people look at it sometimes that it hurts the guy with the pace, but I don't believe you can recover in that short amount of time for one, maybe a little bit, but what people also need to realize is I get to recover in that time too. I want to have a high pace. I'd like to wrestle 6 minutes straight through, but if it doesn't happen, that's all right too. I know that the pace is wearing on him. I think it almost gives me a sense of okay, he's feeling it. You know what I mean? And now I can really try to turn up the pace. And I also get to recover in that time. So it's definitely, frustrating for some people, but I like to look at it as a positive. If they're taking injury, I hope obviously they're not hurt, but I also think sometimes too, they're just a little tired. And, for me, that's confidence. And that tells me to maybe up the pace just a little bit more.
Can you feel in a match when pace is playing a factor against the guy, when you feel him start to slow down or break or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. You can feel it. You can obviously see it in body language, but you can feel it in the wrestling. And if we start a match and we're even, but as the match goes on, right, this guy starts to come down, he brings his pace down and his strength comes down. The playing field isn't even anymore. And so the quicker that I can get to those deep waters, as we call it, the better. I just know that the way I start the match is how I want to wrestle at the end of the match. The exact same level, strength, pace, speed. I want to keep that throughout the whole 6 minutes. And if I'm able to do that, that's when I'm wrestling my best.
Do you feel like you typically are able to do that? And two questions. Are there times when maybe you aren't able to do that?
Um, yeah, I think for me, I try to train at a really high pace and live the right lifestyle always. Um, so I can feel when I'm wrestling my best in the room, maybe that week, or maybe the week before. I know if I train the way that we do every single day and have no shortcuts and just sprint and practice, that I'll be able to in a match. Because in practice we train to sprint like 10 minutes. We'll do like 5-minute periods in our matches, and I know that sounds a little crazy, but if you're able to sprint that and kind of not worry about winning or losing, but just sprint for 10 straight minutes. 6 minutes in a match is going to feel like nothing. And so that's the whole mindset behind what we do. It's very hard to train that way, but we, we make that sacrifice. And I think that, you have to be willing to do what other people aren't.
Sure. Do you remember what your corner said to you at the break here? I know it was a couple minutes ago, but I'm just curious. You may or may not.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think my corner always tries to say the same thing. In this case, it was my dad and Coach Jody Stripmatter. I had scored a lot of unanswered points there in the first period, so I think they were telling me to try to go end the match and go keep scoring. I think it was maybe 7 unanswered points, so that's a big deal. And if you can just keep scoring, I think I was halfway to a tech fall there. I needed 7 more points to go 14-4. That was the mindset, at least. It definitely didn't play out that way, but I was able to come out and get another takedown here,
Yeah.
which I think made it 9-4 at the time. So instead of maybe going a little bit more defense, which I think I did, I kind of rested a little bit and didn't go for the kill. I think in the future I would try to end this match and just go get him. Why not? So resting comes back to bite me a little bit in this match. And I wouldn't say I was resting in the hand fight or anything like that. I would just say my mindset shifted a little bit from go get him to stay in good position and try to limit scores on Aden's part.
But there's sometimes where that maybe will be the right tactic. Would you say if you're at the Worlds or wherever, like, or do you think no,
Yeah,
always foot on the gas?
yeah. I mean, I think I live by the sword, die by the sword. I love to have a high pace.
Sure.
And again, if I'm able to train at a super high level, then I think I'm ready to sprint every single second of every minute. I think as I get older, there's definitely times when, okay, let's shut it down a little bit. Um, but in my mind, I was always taught if you're up by 6, go get the major. And if
Yeah.
you're up by 12, go get the tech. And, the same thing is for freestyle. Go get that tech fall, go try to end the match, and always score more points. We really don't like to go defense because when we do, things like this happen. Aden gets in on the leg,
Ruh-roh.
cuts me across, gave me a little punch right to the noggin down. He grabs his 4, and I adjust. I didn't want to let the lace get any tighter, so I felt like giving up 2 more was an okay, um, something to just give up instead of giving up more than 2. At that point, I wanted to just get my head out of bounds, reset, and I had no idea what the score was. Everything happened so quick, so I had to make sure I took a look, realized I was down, um, which I think was okay. It was going to be the same as if I was winning by 1. Honestly, it might benefit me more to be down in this situation because I'm going to keep attacking,
Yeah.
just with my style. But being down in this situation, we do 30-second down by 1 drill, a lot, a whole heck of a lot. So I knew exactly what I had to do. I had to go get him. 27 seconds actually is a lot of time. A lot of people think it's not, but it's a lot of time to go find a couple good attacks and be able to go get that score. And again, the pace plays a factor. So who Aden was maybe in the first minute might not be who he is in the final 27 seconds. Maybe it is. I think in his case, he's still who he is. But even the littlest bit, trying to wear them down is going to help in that final 30 seconds. And being able to dig deep right here totally changed the narrative to what it was this weekend. It would have been a lot different if I hadn't dug deep there. So very grateful to be able to do that. It comes back to the training, trusting in the strength that the Lord gives me. And yeah, I mean, I just know that I have to work that much harder and hopefully not let it be as close.
How did you feel after that match? That was a real test, and you passed, obviously. But like, how did you feel? Well, emotionally more so, but also physically because you had 9 more matches to wrestle or something.
Right. Yeah, I had 9 more matches at that point, but I think for me, I felt excited. The confidence only grows as you go on. I had said to Tyler in a little interview afterwards that I hope that that's the toughest match that I have, and maybe that was the finals. I couldn't imagine a tougher match than having to go get a takedown late, but I just knew that Aden was a guy that was ready to win that event. Division One NCAA champion, a guy with a lot of momentum, a guy who's really, a lot of people would say he might even be better at freestyle, which I would agree with. He has a lot of huge wins. He beat our world team member, our world bronze twice last year. And so I know that Aden was he was a huge threat. So for us to wrestle in the quarterfinals was a test early, but a test that you're going to have to face anyway, probably in the semis, if not the finals. So seeing him in the quarters was exciting. I had to be ready to go that night to wrestle Bo Bartlett. We had a little bit of a break, which I didn't see many breaks after that this weekend. So that was kind of the only break that we had, was from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. And I remember just laying down and, getting some feedback from my dad, from Coach Roby, from Coach Strip Matter, and, kind of resetting. I know that every match is a completely clean slate. It's 0-0 when you start. And, the last 2 senior matches ended up being Tech Falls and nothing crazy where I had to come back, but I was ready for war, and that's what those final 2 matches brought.
So you brought up the returning team member, the returning bronze medalist, right? Obviously, Real Woods, you'll be facing at Final X. As you're getting ready to wrestle at the Senior U.S. Open, and you know that the ultimate goal is to get to Final X, and obviously, but to get to your goal, you got to go through Real, right? I guess thoughts on Real, or how much focus had been on him to that point, or if the shift is just obviously now just him. But you got U20s as well, like that. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, but I think I enjoy the chaos. I enjoy a lot going on. Right now, actually, it's a little weird. It's almost too calm. I haven't done anything last weekend or this weekend, just training. And normally we're used to traveling around and competing or going here to do something with wrestling, whether it's training or camps or so it's definitely been pretty calm. But I think my focus has been laser focused in. I think most people wait for a big loss to be motivated or to be changed. Um, and I think I did that early in my career, but now I realize that Aden Valencia is extremely motivated, right? Bo Bartlett, McKenna, they're motivated. They're ready to go. I now have that target on my back. So for me, I like to treat Vegas almost like a loss, in a way that motivates me. Obviously, you're not looking at it like you lost. You're looking at it like, okay, there's a lot to build from and confidence to get from that. But I want to come out of Vegas way more laser focused, way more just excited to go get work in. I know that it's a huge summer now, and so that's a lot of motivation in itself. But I want to come out of Vegas and be just as locked in as if I didn't achieve my dreams and goals that weekend. And so that's a way that I've been looking at things. I'm laser focused now on U20s. I'll get to wrestle the winner of that mini bracket. I believe it's May 28th or 29th in Geneva, Ohio. So 3 weeks from Friday. And so it's time to dial in. It's time to really lock in on everything. Every decision matters. And there's no time to rest between that and Final X. So I'm going to be ready for the best 2 out of 3 in U20s and also against Real Woods, the world's bronze medalist, at Final X in Newark, New Jersey. I believe that's June 19th. And so I'm just really excited to sprint for 12 minutes or 18 minutes or 36 minutes, I guess, between the two. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And, I'm willing to die. I burn the ships. I'm laser focused. I know that every decision I make matters. And my lifestyle is, I think honestly, I'm living a better lifestyle than I ever have in my career over the past year. This final senior year in high school has been huge for my development. I'm excited to move into college this year. There's a lot of moving parts. We're going to be all over the country and also all over the globe. And it's a lot of blessings, opportunities, and I'm excited to go full sprint.
Yeah. With the U20 trials coming up, then the seniors, obviously, Real's going to present a bigger challenge. Is there a little, some known focus on Real right now, or full, we're going to focus on Real and go right through the 20s on the way? Game plans, tactics?
Right. Well, you have to almost treat this like it was in the Open. Now, obviously, it's a lot more extended over weeks and months at a time now. But the U.S. Open, I had to be focused on the senior level guys. I had to be focused on McKenna, but I also had to be focused on that entire U20 field. That presented a huge challenge as well. I think that I have to be focused on the guy at U20s. I don't know who it's going to be, which is a little bit different of a challenge. But I'm excited. Sitting to the finals is a huge advantage. I've been in the finals before sitting, and I've also been the guy who went through the mini bracket and then had to wrestle actually the world champ last year in the finals, best of 3, and that went to 3 matches. So I understand the challenge that there is with being in literally the mini bracket first, having to beat 2 or 3 really good guys just to get to, the guy who's sitting all day and he's fresh and he's ready to go. So I'm excited to be able to be sitting there and, I'm prepared for the entire field. Those guys are all really good in their own way. They wrestle a lot different. They've all beaten each other for the most part, unless we get any surprises that jump in there. And, I'm excited. Hopefully there are some. But I just think those guys, anybody could win that day. So it's all about being the best in Geneva, Ohio, the day that the world team is decided. So I'm excited to sprint. Whoever had to wrestle 3 matches before that, I'm excited to wrestle them and sprint and have a lot of fun there. But I definitely think that in the back of my mind, I'm definitely thinking about Real Woods, Final X, being ready for that. But, it would set the stage to make the U20 team. I'm on the U23 world team this year. It would set the stage to be able to, that would be the final piece against the world bronze medalist, the guy that I've, wrestled on the same card, common opponents against at RAF. I saw him at NCAAs. We had a great talk. So kind of crazy how it all came full circle. And, we're going to get to wrestle at Final X. This has been a dream of mine. And yeah, we're here. But there's no time to waste. We got to get to work and be laser focused in, living the right lifestyle.
What challenges does Real present? Does he bring to the table?
Yeah, I think the real question is what challenges doesn't he present? He's good in all positions. In my opinion, there's 4. You've got obviously on your feet. He's a threat there. He has really good skills that are freestyle skills, which is crazy to me because the whole story with Real Woods was he hadn't wrestled much freestyle, made the team, went and medaled at the Worlds with freestyle moves, which is it just shows the level of wrestler that he is. So he's very good on his feet. He has a lot of threatening moves that I've got to be aware of. He's good on parterre, top, bottom. Those are your other 2 positions. Obviously, he was able to gut wrench a lot of guys to even make the team in USA. And then he was tech falling guys at the world championships really quickly with that gut wrench. So I know that that's something that, I'm excited to be ready for. That's a challenge in its own. And then the final position that we talk about back home in Johnstown, PA is front headlock. And front headlock's probably one of his number one positions too. So I just think that he's a guy that presents many challenges. And, I think instead of thinking about his challenges, I want to think about the ways that I can threaten him and be ready to go and score points when the time comes. And yeah, I think he has a match on RAF beforehand. So it'll be exciting to watch him wrestle there. Maybe a tune-up for him before Final X. I forget who he's wrestling, so maybe it's a really tough opponent. I'm not sure, but I know that he'll be able to compete before Final X. But he's not competing as much as I am, and I think that that's an advantage to me. Getting in so many matches throughout the entire year this year, and then this freestyle cycle, I've gotten in a ton of matches too. So it's exciting to kind of have the upper hand on that.
How do you like, either the RAF or Final X is the same way where it's not a tournament. I'm getting ready for one guy versus I'm getting ready for the field, right? Do you like one over the other? Do you like them? I mean, I'm sure you like them both, but is there one that, you like more than the other?
Yeah, I think they both present, they're definitely different circumstances for sure. I've been in the U20s, both sides of the spectrum there with sitting and then also having to battle through just to get the opportunity to wrestle the guy. But I think with that, you just have to be ready to wrestle anyone and just be your best self that day. I don't think that day I'll be watching the wrestling. I just think that as soon as I know who I have, it's important to dial in on what I need to do. I need to be ready for this. I need to, go out and set the pace high or, whatever it may be, whatever the game plan would be. But it's not something that I want to waste too much time thinking about who it's going to be now, because I think it's pointless. Anybody could win that day, and it's all about who's best that day. So I think when the time comes, I know exactly who I have, which is the same day I'm going to wrestle them. Then it's time to dial in a little bit, but I don't want to waste too much time thinking about it now, because it could change depending on the day. I think if you wrestle that bracket 10 times, you might get a couple different champs. So that's definitely different. And then wrestling Woods, I know it's Woods. It couldn't be anyone else. Nobody's, his coach Izzy's not going to come out and wrestle. So it's going to be Coach Woods. And shout out to Izzy. He's the man.
Yep.
Real Woods is his guy, but we've also, we've had a great relationship with Izzy Style. And, so I wanted to throw a shout out to him. He was at the US Open and I think he was cheering for me too to win. So that was really cool, even though I was going to wrestle his guy and he's done amazing things with Real American Freestyle, but Izzy's not going to come out and wrestle. I know it has to be Real Woods. So I have to be ready for just Real Woods. So maybe thinking about him a little bit more now would be a little bit more important than, not thinking about it if it was the whole entire field. But I know that, one is set in stone and one is kind of a big option and could be anyone. So they're both a little bit different. You have to approach them a little bit different. And, there's probably not a bigger challenge in the United States than Real Woods in that bronze medal that he won last year. So if you can beat a guy like him to make the team, then you should have a lot of confidence going into Worlds, just with what he's been able to do over the past year.
Yeah, man, and we're pumped to watch it. Final X, we're pumped to watch you attempt to make another U20 team. I want to talk about your buddy Jax, right? He did the dang thing this year, left early, went to Oklahoma State. When did you know, or did you have any input, or did you guys have conversations about him like, hey, Bo, I'm thinking about going early, or, how much did you know about that, or did you guys, did he ask your opinion, or did you guys have conversations about that?
Yeah, Jax is unbelievable. Super proud of what he's been able to accomplish. I miss him a lot. He's in Oklahoma, obviously full time, and he's been there since December. But we partnered almost every day since he moved in fifth grade, maybe. Really, really young. Jax has been with us for a long time, and so training with him, becoming brothers, really is how I would describe it. We were best friends. We still are. We still have a great relationship. But watching him accomplish everything that he did this year, I think to most people was a surprise, but to the people that actually know him and the way that he works and the confidence that he has and the way he wrestles, to us, it was just Jax doing what he does. And so him going out there and dominating, I think he got second in the Hodge running, like as a freshman who was in high school the same year. It's unheard of. So for him to be able to do that to most people was crazy. And, obviously it's never happened before, but to us, we almost expected him to go out and do his thing. And Jax is a special person. obviously a special wrestler, but not a lot of people know he's a great person. And being able to see him in Vegas was great. He's just someone you want to be around. He's a beam of light. And, I miss training with him a lot, just even just hanging out and being in the same class as him at school. But we try to talk as much as we can. A lot of our guys will be all over the country, but we want to keep a good relationship. And, on the holidays when we all come home, we'll get to train together and see each other. And, I'm always a Jax Forrest fan. I'm going to be in his corner no matter what. And I love the dude. I think he's going to do amazing things. This is just the beginning for him. But everything that he's been accomplishing, the people who truly know him weren't surprised.
Heck yeah. He came on here, I think after he won with the two other guys from Oklahoma State. And one thing he mentioned, I forget what the question was, if anything surprised him or he's like, man, we actually kind of toned up. Rest and recovery was the thing. He's like, sometimes we'll take days off. Sometimes we'll come in and we don't even wrestle. We'll just play handball. And I was confused because we worked so hard in high school. And do you think that that's more of something that'll have to be implemented as you get older and have to, like you're 19 or 20 right now, you're fine. But as you get into your 20s and closer to 30, that's rest and recovery is a bigger thing.
For sure. Yeah. I think now while I want to work absolutely as hard as possible. We do work really hard. Jax definitely knows that. We put in a lot of work and just a lot of volume, but I think it definitely helps us, especially the room that we had when we were doing that together. We definitely outwork the entire country as far as hours in the room and hours in the gym, and we call it the lab. And I think now he's in a room that has a lot of veterans and guys that are at the age where it might not be possible to do that anymore. I think Jax will be the first to tell you that he gets a lot of extra workouts in though as well. He's a guy that seeks out opportunities. Even in high school, when we were working really, really hard, which to this day we still are, but he would go out and seek opportunities. He would go and wrestle certain guys, or he would go get strength workouts in. He was a guy that always wanted more. He was able to sacrifice things that other people weren't willing to. He was able to live a lifestyle that other people weren't. And he was someone that was one of my best friends and someone that I'm going to support, but he was also a role model to the entire team. Somebody who was a trailblazer, did a lot of things first, and obviously went to college and won a national championship. But I think that he's going to keep that hard work mentality the entire way through until his body lets him, at least. And I know that he's putting a lot of work into this day. Super proud of everything he's been able to accomplish. I think Oklahoma State's an awesome place for him. It's an awesome place in general. I have a lot of respect for all those guys, and I'm excited to have him, see him have a lot of success in orange, even though it's not Hokie orange. I'm still really proud of him.
That's great. So next year or this summer, and obviously you have some things to do before you know exactly what your summer's going to look like. But when do you move? When do you go out to move to Blacksburg? Do you know yet? Have you guys talked about the lineup next year, how things might shake out? I'm going to assume you're going to not redshirt, but I don't know that. And the 5-year thing, who knows where that's all going to be exactly at that point. But what's the near-term, midterm future look like?
Yeah, so the near-term future is locked in on freestyle. I'm going to graduate high school here in a week or two. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm wrapping everything up with high school right now. That's been a lot of fun. I have a lot of we have, I believe, 6 Division I wrestlers in this class that'll graduate the same year from Bishop McCourt. So we'll have guys all over the country, but really cool that we have such a strong class this year, guys that I've grown up with since elementary school. So it'll be exciting to be with those guys. Jax is coming back for graduation. Sam Herring's coming back. So we'll get a pretty cool picture maybe when everybody's back in town. Hopefully we can get some training in too when they're in town. But it'll be exciting to graduate high school in the near future, and then hopefully make these last 2 final teams. Get on that U20 team, go into Final X and wrestle my best, and get on that senior level team. That would be ideal. I'm living the right lifestyle and working really hard to try to make it happen, but I know that it's God's plan. And so I've surrendered to that. I'm excited to see, what happens in those matches. It's going to be a lot of fun, and a best of 3 series. That's the most fun wrestling there is, and being able to make adjustments and go back in, and yeah, that'll be awesome. Can't wait to compete in Geneva and then also in Newark, New Jersey. And then I think the midterm future is, once those 2 wrap up, it kind of sets your summer. Am I getting ready for, an event in July or maybe August, or not till September? I'm not sure, but after these events, we'll know that. And I'll be able to move into Blacksburg, down into the dorms at Virginia Tech. And I'm excited to be there, get to training full time. I'm going to miss my parents and my brothers and, my whole entire family back home a lot. But I know that this is the next step. And, I'm excited to keep living the right lifestyle and working hard down in Virginia Tech and trying to add in any way that I can. I just think that we're going to work really hard together. We've got a lot of guys that will be trying to get ready to go at the end of this summer for World Championships or Pan American Games. So the guys are going to be training hard. And then the guys that aren't getting ready for freestyle are going to be in the room getting ready for the next folk style season. We're gearing up. We have a really strong team, and I'm excited to see what we can accomplish.
Sure. You said you're probably 65 kg for life. Is it fair to say you'll be 41 or 49 in college? And do you know which one yet?
Yeah, so I've been talking to the staff a lot. It just keeps getting pushed back a little bit on what weight because, Caleb has a chance to make the team in Kentucky here coming up, or at least make Final X. And so that extends the summer. And then if he would make the senior world team, maybe that would have implications. Or if I would make the team, that would. But I think my mindset, just from an outside looking in, is I'm going to go whatever weight the team needs.
Yeah.
I wrestled 49 last year at some college opens, and I didn't feel super small. I think it's a weight I could grow into if they needed. But I also wrestle 65 kilos, which is 143. And
Right.
it's only 2 pounds down from that to wrestle 141. And, I know that we have the best nutritionist in the entire country. Shout out to Clint. And so I think with his help, I could definitely get down there and be able to sacrifice for the team. I know that we have a lot of really good guys around the weight class. So whatever the coaching staff thinks is best is what I'm ready to do. I think it's probably between those two weights. I think 57 would be a little too high. And I don't see myself ever making 33. So I think that it'd be between 41, 49. And, I think we aren't really 100% sure yet. We have a lot of talented guys around the weight class that I'm excited to learn from. So whatever the team needs.
Sure. Well, I have a neighbor, shout out Lance, just a neighbor here, but he went to Virginia Tech, and I met him years ago, and I was wearing that same shirt you have on now one time, running through the neighborhood. He's like, "Oh, did you go to Virginia Tech?" Said, "No, but, I'm really into wrestling," and I maybe explain what I did a little bit. And he's like, since you signed and since there's all this attention, he's coming up to me, and he's like, ask me this Bassett guy and this recruiting class, and he's like super excited about Virginia Tech wrestling, and I think that's awesome, and you're like sparking a wave, and not just you, but everything that program's doing is exciting, and you're getting maybe non-wrestling fans who are just Virginia Tech fans interested and excited with what's going on in your program. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. So a cool story about that. Yesterday, I was at the Capitol building in Harrisburg, PA, and so it was really cool to be able to just speak. I was speaking actually on the behalf of all the Pennsylvania high school student body, like the entire student body, about the school choice movement. A little bit about school choice. Basically, it's approved in 30 of the 50 states. It's talking about kids should have the opportunity to go to whatever school they want to, not based on, if they are financially well enough to be able to go there or where they live. And so I was speaking on behalf of the student body representing Bishop McCourt, and I met a bunch of Pennsylvania representatives that were, through the government and that worked at the Capitol building there. And it was really cool opportunity because a lot of those guys said that they were going to make the trip down to Blacksburg for a dual meet next year, which is awesome. These guys were wrestling fans, but they had never really been, I think into the sport the way that they are now, and they were going to make the trip down. And just cool to see that, the fan base is growing up here in Pennsylvania now that we got some guys, on the pipeline heading down there. And it'll be exciting to, try to fill up Castle Coliseum next year. And I just think that we have a lot of momentum going and a lot of hard work to be done. We're excited for the challenge.
Gonna be a lot of fun. I've been all over. I've never been to Virginia Tech. I don't think I've ever been to a wrestling match at Virginia Tech. So my goal is to make it while you're in school. The sooner the better. Okay, we're done with most of the interview questions, but I got a couple little games I like to play at the end. First one's called Sweat It Out. Bo, I'm trying to mess you up here. It's 5 questions designed to make you sweat. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready.
Question number 1. What is the official name of the place where you're going to college?
Oh, yeah. Virginia Tech and Virginia Technical something Institute.
Dang close, but we'll spell it out. You're Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University.
Yes.
It's a mouthful.
You know what? I have a crew neck that has the entire title pasted out. So I've been seeing it. I apparently don't have it memorized, but I promise next time I see you, I will know that.
Okay, fair enough. Number 2, Pennsylvania, where you from? Virginia, where you moving to? Which state was admitted to the Union first? These aren't all wrestling questions. This is just a
Oh, jeez.
yeah, this
Oh,
is a
man.
50-50.
Pennsylvania or Virginia?
Yeah, they're both very old.
Where I'm from or where I'm moving to? Which one was here first? Or admitted to the Union?
Yes, admitted to the Union first. Officially became a state.
Let's go with Virginia.
Ah, sorry, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Hey, there we go.
December
Perfect.
12th,
Just in time.
1787, Pennsylvania. December
Wow.
12th, 1787, Virginia. 6 months later, June 25th, 1788. So, unless you really knew.
Fair. So, yeah, right around
okay.
actually probably the same time.
Yes. This one maybe more up your alley. Number 3, who was the first NCAA wrestling champion from Virginia Tech and what year?
Ooh. Champ? It wasn't Makai, was it? Yeah, Makai. Oh man, what year? This is gonna get me.
Grade school,
Maybe let's go with it's 20, and then the teens I would have to say. I'm gonna go with 2019.
Boom, we got it right before the
Let's go!
Pandemic.
Not gonna lie, that might have been a guess. But
That's all right.
I just saw him the other week. He was actually at the Open hanging out with us. So Makai's the man.
He looked big. He looked bigger.
Yeah, he is.
What
He's
year
strong.
did Virginia Tech win a team trophy? Most recent team trophy in wrestling. They were 4th place.
Ooh. Yeah. Man.
This is tricky unless you were really paying attention, dialed in back in these years, which you were. I'll give you a hint. It was before Makai won.
Okay, so it was before 2019. I feel like we had a really strong team. 2016, 2017. I remember Corbin Myers and those guys. Let's go with 15?
16. That's all right.
16. Man, I said it.
That's all right.
Yeah, I knew it was sometime around there. We're going to hopefully get a lot of team trophies over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Last one. Wait, where we go? It's on this history page, but I think I got it written down. Okay. This is a little trickier, but I'm just trying to point out the progress they've made. Since 2012, how many times has Virginia Tech finished in the top 11 at the NCAAs? It's 14 years ago. How many times have they been in the top 11?
Top 11. Well, we definitely have won 2016. I'd have to say 2015 we were. And then, man, this is tough. So out of the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Let's go with, this year we were 11, so let's go 7.
13 out of the last 14 years, they were top 11. Let me just read some stats. This is like results by year. I'm going back to the 53.
You know what? That's a good stat.
Yeah, it's a great stat. You guys were
way undershot us.
You guys were, this is back in the 50s, 1919, into the 60s, and the 30s, and the 40s, and the 60s. Back in the 70s, 1970s, we're finishing in the 40s and 50s. In the 80s, 1980s, you're finishing in the 60s, 70s, 60s. In the 90s, you're in the 60s. In the 40s, 98, you're 48th. 19, 20, 40, 40, 40, 42nd. 60th in 2007. And then we go 39, 24, 60. Okay, then we go 11, 10, 8, 10, 4, 6, 8, 11, 14, 8, 9, 7, 11, 11. Like, think about those first years where I'm reading off 60s and 70s, and then boom. Tom Brands was in for a year, got him, stepped up, and then like Dresser and Roby, and just totally changed the trajectory and face of this program. And, maybe we're going to take another turn upward here in the next whatever. So, that was it. I wasn't keeping score. What you got, about 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5? They're all pretty close though. So that was sweat it out.
Yeah. Something like that.
I got another one. This doesn't really have anything to do with wrestling. This is just an interesting AI, artificial intelligence. It's here. Yeah. We're using it to some degree, a little at all. Do you use AI, for anything special, for anything stupid and fun, or whatever? How do you use AI today in any sense? Wrestling or not?
Yeah, my dad teaches an AI class at school, so we've been trying to learn how to use it. He does STEM, so a lot of the engineering and all that type of stuff, but he also does online education with AI, and then he'll do like security online, being able to navigate the web with being safe on there, and your digital footprint, things like that. Anyway, we use AI a lot. I actually used it the other day for one of my social media posts. I was trying to figure out who to tag, who would be the best to tag actually with the Capitol speech. Some representatives and
Yeah.
some senators, people like that, to be able to let it get some reach. So I actually put that into my AI, and it came up with some Instagram handles, and I was able to tag those people. But I'll also look up a ton of stats on AI. I know my dad uses it a lot for his job, and we actually have a class where we're learning all about AI. But it is the future.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. This is wrestling related. It's simple, maybe. But who's your all-time favorite wrestler? You get one.
Yeah, my all-time favorite wrestler. Um, I would have to say I grew up, and from the time I can remember, probably till this day, Spencer Lee has been my all-time favorite wrestler.
Hell yeah. That's makes perfect sense. So okay. Last
Same
one.
wrestling club,
Yeah.
regional model.
He's the man. Spencer's awesome. Um, the last one, wins and whoopins. And I've done this, maybe I did with this you, but I haven't been on for over a year at least. All the matches you wrestled in your entire life, one win that stands out. It could be like a little kid that always beat you in Little League and you finally beat him. Or it can be Aden, or it can be, a big Super 30, whatever, world, anything, right? Meaningful or not meaningful, but one win for you, and then one whooping. We've all taken whoopings at some point in our life. One win, one whooping. You can do either one first.
Yeah, I think one big win for me over the past couple of years that's been huge. I think would be, let's go with that, the Super 32 finals against Zapata. That was a big one, to kind of end that series. It was 1-1 at the time. The Super 32 crowd, nothing beats that atmosphere. I think that would be one win that would stands out and that was exciting. That I still I think about that whole entire series to this day. But I think that made us both a lot better. So I'll throw a shout out to him, in the rivalry and the battles that we had. He's gonna do awesome things. Where's he at now? Michigan, I believe he just committed there. So he's gonna do great things in the Big Ten. Excited to see what he does. And then one whooping, and I'll be honest with you, this one wasn't in a match. This one was in the room, and it stuck out to me as soon as you said it. Last summer, I got to wrestle a ton with Evan Henderson, and he was awesome. He helped me a ton. Being able to be ready for the senior level, pouring into me, into my wrestling, into me as a person. He's a great human, just a good role model. He's coaching now at North Carolina, but at the time, he was not. He was in Pennsylvania with his parents and his family. And anyway, we got to wrestle, and so he would come to the compound, and we wrestled, man, countless times. We would wrestle during the day. We'd wrestle twice, 3 times a week, and for the first couple of months, I took some big time whoopings, but I think those were all great learning lessons. I learned so much from wrestling with him. He's a veteran. He's a guy that has wrestled on the world stage, has wrestled world Olympic champions. He's even beaten a lot of them. So Evan Henderson is a guy that sticks out to me. So I want to throw a shout out to him. Obviously he's coaching now in the same conference as me on a different team, but I have a lot of respect for him. We have a good relationship. I got to see him at the US Open, and there was a lot of times there where he was scoring a lot of the points, getting a lot of the pinfalls, but I learned a lot through wrestling with him, and I don't think I would have been ready to wrestle at the senior level without those sessions with him, without learning from him, and the little tricks that he showed me throughout the time together. So shout out to Evan Henderson, and Freebird.
Yeah, well, you said, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the tricks, because Evan's like, he's good and he's solid. He's tricky, he's a little unorthodox, and he's the kind of guy who can, like, I'm sure, catch you and beat you up a little bit the first couple times.
Oh yeah, for sure. First time going in, I had no idea what to expect. I just think that we don't wrestle the same by any means. So I knew that I had a lot to learn. And I went into each and every single workout with him just like a sponge. I wanted to just soak up as much as I could, as much information and wrestling skills as I could. And to this day, I use everything that he's taught me. And, I've been trying to develop all of that as much as I can. He's a guy that, I try to stay connected with. And I just think that wrestling him helped me a whole lot growing. And he pinned me a lot a lot those first couple months, and he pinned me the last session that we wrestled a lot too. But I just think it was a lot of learning and adjusting to his style. He's a guy that you'll never actually be ready to wrestle against a guy like that, just because he brings something different every time. But I was just hoping to have it rub off in any way that I could, and try to take some of his skills and put them into my wrestling.
Well, something you did's worked, Bo. We're excited. I appreciate you coming on here and spending some time with me today. And man, we're super excited for U20s, Final X, and everything that comes after that this summer, and/or Virginia Tech and beyond. So thanks for being here. I'm going to give you the final word before we get out of here to say anything you want to say.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's going to be an awesome summer, but I'm just excited for every challenge and opportunity that it will bring. I appreciate you having me on. I just want everybody to know that I compete for Christ, and I put him in the center, and I'm just excited to see what his plans are, and full surrender and full sprint throughout the summer.
Awesome. Bo, you're the man. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. That's going to do it for today, folks. Have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.